Hello YouTube, this is Sam Gerrans from Qur'anite.com. Today is Tuesday the 7th of December 2021 and I'd like to get another one of these chapters between 50 and 114 out of the way today. For people who know me and know my channel, they'll know why I'm particularly interested in this series of surahs, but I can't remember exactly which video I kind of summarized the reasons for that. I think it's around 70, 73, something like that. If anybody remembers, or if I remember, I'll put it in the drop down below or something. Before I get into it, there's just a couple of points I wanted to hit just from my own sort of YouTube experience. I mean, personally, I try to deal with YouTube as little as possible outside of videos, my own videos. There are one or two things that I do watch, but mainly I read books now. I just find it's become so corporate and so controlled and all the rest of it that it's almost not worth it. That's one of the reasons why I've kept my channel relatively boring and relatively unattractive for large numbers of people because it's just unusable. I wanted to get my work actually out there rather than trying to sort of become a YouTuber or something. But there are a couple of points I wanted to hit. The first one is just something that I've noticed. The dislike button has disappeared. Now, a couple of points on this. If you look up, or if I think of it, I'll put a link to the YouTube's explanation for this. It's very interesting. It's all kind of couched in this gushy language. But really the reason is because of their corporate clients. But they have, what was interesting, this sort of passive aggressive explanation. Anyway, all that to say, I was a little bit concerned because there are a couple of people I know who just live to downvote my stuff. I mean, I know because when I post the video, I sort of I track it for, the first half an hour, something like that, see what's going with it. And I just know that there are people who clearly are, there's a couple of people anyway, and apparently, I'm not alone here. This isn't like a Sam Gerrans phenomenon. There are just these people who have nothing else in their lives to do except hate particular people's work. So they must be getting, what are they called, you get a message saying so-and-so has released a video. So there are people, or one person with several accounts at least, who has this notification that says, Sam Gerrans has released a video, and they go and hate it. Like they can't physically have watched it because it's only been up 20 minutes and it's a 40-minute video, but they hate it. So I was a little bit concerned. I thought, well, this person, their life is going to be meaningless now. I mean, if they can't do this. But there is a solution, and I have one. If you can't use it on your phone, but you can use it if you use a screen, which is what I partly use when I am kind of looking at YouTube for whatever reason. You can get a plug-in. You can get a plug-in. I think it's bring back dislikes or something like that. You'll find it. So there is a plug-in. You can get the dislikes back. So if you are that person, your life need not be meaningless. You can get that back. And as we all know, dislikes are very useful because you get a ratio, you get a sense. It doesn't matter whether 1 million people have watched something or 250 people have watched something. You can get a kind of a sense of what's going on by the ratio of the likes to the dislikes. So I think dislikes are very useful in that way. So just to say, you can get dislikes back. You can get them back on your screen. The guy who produced this thing, I don't know how many downloads he's had now, but YouTube had only done this a little while and he'd had 200,000 downloads. Also, yes, if I put the link to this guy in this very passive kind of gushy sort of well finessed SJW sort of language explaining why they've done this. And the key takeaway is basically you'll get used to it. You're too dumb. You're too dumb. We know you're too stupid. You'll just get used to whatever we do. You'll accept it. That's basically what he's saying. If you do download this like thing, this thing you can put into your browser. You'll see the ratio of likes to dislikes, the actual dislikes and the actual likes to this thing. So he's got, I don't know, the ratio is like, it's incredible. It's 250 to 1 or something. People absolutely hate what they're doing, but it won't make any difference because this is the new freedom. I grew up in this. It's called democracy. It's called, would you like to clear up your room? And everyone knows it. There is no choice. You're going to clear your room up. It's just a matter of when you get with the program. So that's freedom, and freedom, as I'll get into a bit more freedom a bit later on in this talk. And the second point, I wanted to mention that also to do with YouTube, why I'm sort of kind of checking these boxes with YouTube, is I'm basically interested in two subjects primarily. One is religion in quite a broad sense of that word, and the other is what I would call realpolitik in a broad sense of the word. So in to the extent that I do engage with YouTube, that's what I'm looking at. And I've noticed, and there are some very interesting people out there still, despite all of it. However, I have noticed a bit of a trend, and this came about through a personal communication I had with somebody. And it's this, which is I've noticed that there are quite a lot of channels on the two subjects that I'm interested in. Maybe it's happening to all channels, I don't know, because I only know because that's all I'm ever even remotely interested in. And I'm not saying this is true of all channels, certainly not. But there are, there's a number of people, it's very well written. It's somebody behind a screen, so they've got this sort of visual candy going at the same time on a religious subject or a realpolitik subject. A bit like the Zeitgeist presentation with the guy talking behind, and then you've got the visual eye candy. And I'm not saying this is true in all cases. Please, that's not what I'm saying. But what I have noticed is there are people who clearly don't understand what they're saying. Very well written, cleverly written. But the person speaking the words clearly doesn't understand the subject matter, which raises the question, who wrote this stuff? And why are they giving it to a semi-literate to put out there? I noticed it most graphically on a video about religion, and the chap speaking this was well-written stuff. I mean, it was quite, from a propaganda point of view, it was intelligently and cleverly done, but he didn't write it. I'm certain of that, because in this talk, he used two words that he couldn't pronounce. One was sepulchre, and the other was papyrus. If you know the subject well enough to write, whoever wrote this, you know how to say sepulchre, and you know how to pronounce papyrus. You just do. But he didn't. In fact, there were quite a lot of other words that he wasn't really very sure of. So anyway, in the words of, what was it? I think there was a show in the 70s or 80s called NYPD. Let's be careful out there, people. Anyway, that's that. I'm going to move on now to Surah 84. Surah 84 is quite a short surah. I'm just going to go through it, give my commentary, and that will be that. So, to proceed. When the sky is split asunder, and hearkens to its Lord as it must, and when the earth is spread out, and casts forth all that is in it and is empty, and hearkens to its Lord as it must. Okay, just stop there for a second. The first point is when the sky is split asunder. Now, I do kind of hit this point quite regularly in this series of talks. The Quranic narrative, the Quranic language about the sky is of something that is fixed and is hard. It breaks, it cracks, it splits. Pieces of the sky, falling down. Now, with the modernizing Muslims, of course, they'll say, "Oh no, this is just an allegory." Well, okay, maybe, but then at what point do you stop that? It's you end up in a world of kind of Yoda-like gnosis. This is the language which the Qur'an uses, and this is my position from my investigations as an adult, rather than just what I was given as a child. I know it's an unpopular point of view, but the Qur'an isn't a kind of popularity contest. It is at odds. It is at unambiguous odds with modern, what is called science, in certain areas, and certain modern preferences, which are always changing, especially if you alive at this time. Everything's changing every 5 minutes. You can never keep up with what science says is true, or what the kind of new social norms are. So the problem with trying to ingratiate yourself with all of that is you're going to end up with egg on your face at some point. It's just what happens when you compromise. So this is what it says, and this is my position, and I'm just sticking to that. To continue. And when the earth is spread out and casts forth all that is in it, and is empty, and hearkens to its Lord as it must. Now, in my translation, I have double dashes here, and that what they are indicating is that the flow of the text is being interrupted by another thought, and this is something which we see quite a few times in the Qur'an. To continue. O man, thou art toiling towards thy Lord with labour, and wilt meet him. Now this is the fact, as I've said many times on this channel. It's a little bit like the light that you used to get in the 1970s. I don't know if they still have them in a butcher's shop. That fluorescent light, and you get the flies buzzing around. But sooner or later, that fly is going to go into that luminous light, and it's going to go bzz, and that's him. That fly's gone. We're the same. The one thing that we do know is death. We are going to die, and it doesn't matter whether you are the ruling elite. It doesn't matter whether you're, how cozy and well in you are in the special club of people who think at this time, I'm sure they do, they think that they're on the sort of the New World Order Noah's Ark, that they've got their little space, their little place on the special ship when all the unwashed masses are going to be dying of the results of the things they trusted them to do to them. The fact is, it doesn't matter where you are. You're going to this place. It doesn't matter, which family you were born into, how much money you've got. None of those things matters. What is absolutely beyond a question is that we are going to meet God. Verse 7. Then as for him who is given his writ in his right hand. Now I'm just going to stop here. There's going to be a comparison between those who are given their writ in the right hand and those who are given their writ behind their back. It's worth having a look, if you would like some more on this, at Surah 56, which says, and when you are of three kinds. So there are two kinds who are going to garden, or the gardens, and then there's one kind that isn't. So here we have the two kinds who are going to gardens. Well, actually we have those who are the advanced, and those who, and so you have, like, as it was, those brought near, and then you have those who are sort of, as it were, just communal garden believers. But those are those going to the garden, and then there are those going to the fire. Here, those two groups are grouped together into one. Then as for him who is given his writ in his right hand, he will be called to account with an easy reckoning, and he will return to his people in happiness. And for him who is given his writ behind his back, he will call for destruction and burn in an inferno. He was among his people in happiness. He thought he would never return. Verily, his Lord saw him. He thought he would never return. Now, this is one of the distinguishing marks between believers and non-believers. I'm not talking here about the traditionalist mullahs, nomenclature and so on. I'm talking about what the Qur'an says. Those who believe in God and the last day and do good work. Those are the three criteria. It doesn't matter what you call yourself. Those who believe in God, the one God, the creator of all things. Those who believe in God and the last day, they know they're going to God. They know there is going to be a judgment, and do good works. That's it. It's this. I know a lot of people aren't going to like this, but it really isn't a sectarian matter. It's not a club membership. It just really isn't. It doesn't matter, whether you've paid up all your dues to the local masjid or whatever. These are the criteria. Now, this isn't an ecumenical speech. This isn't, all beliefs are equal and it doesn't matter what you believe. No, not at all. It does matter what you believe, and it does matter what you do. And this was one of the key moments for me when I read the Qur'an, why I was impressed by it, because coming from a Christian background, or coming from a background of the Christian scriptures, I flatter myself, I'm not stupid, but I really couldn't get the distinction between faith and works. And I'm not alone. They've been fighting about it for a long time. It's an insoluble question. It's like having a 3 square meter bed and a 2 square meter duvet. You can cover parts of it, but you can't cover all of it. It just doesn't work. And so when I read this, those who believe in God, which I did, and the last day, which I did, and do good works, which I aspire to. I'm not perfect. I have good days and bad days, but I can tell the difference between them at least. There you are, I had my answer, and this is very early on. If you're just reading Al-Baqarah, there's the answer. The whole problem between parts of the book of John and parts of the epistles ascribed to Paul, just solved in one line. There you are. And that's really one of the reasons. It's not the only reason, but it's one of the reasons that I started to take the Qur'an seriously. So there you are. That's the answer. And that's what you have to do. It's believe in God on the last day and do good works. It's not just believe but believe in God and the last day and do good works. And getting back to the point here, he thought he would never return. That's the distinguishing point between really believers and unbelievers. I've found lots of people will say that they believe in God, but when you say, what about hell? Do you believe in hell? Oh, no, they don't. What they believe in is a kind of extension of the entitled shopping experience that they've had so far. That's what they want. They want it to stay the same but get better. That's what they want. They want two mutually exclusive things. But if you believe in the last day, you believe that hell exists. You have to. It's a necessary function. So the evildoers today, those who don't believe in God and they don't believe in the last day and they're definitely not doing good works, guess what they've got? You see, God is not unjust. He's just. But you only if you see it in these terms. If you listen to the Stephen Frys of this world, and personally I like Stephen Fry. I've got a couple of books of Stephen Fry. He's a highly intelligent man, but he's a professional atheist, and clearly he's decided to go that route as a way of distinguishing himself in this world. And his argument really is, and you get this a lot, nice people suffer. Yeah, they do, Stephen. But you, as somebody with an excellent background in literature, should understand that it's wrong to judge a book before you've finished it. You can't really say, well, this is what happened in this story if you're still in the first act. The whole point of this is the first act. We're waiting for the finale. So that's how it works. Anyway, to continue. Verily his Lord saw him. Then do I swear by the twilight glow, and by the night and what it envelops, and by the moon when it is full. You will embark upon stage. Now, there are many oaths in the Qur'an. You should look at them carefully and consider them not only on their own merits, but also in the context. Now, what is the context? Well, the context is something which hasn't happened yet. So then do I swear by the twilight glow. When twilight happens, the sun is going over the horizon, the day is coming to an end. What's happening? Well, what's going to happen is night. Is night there now? No, night's not there yet, but we all know that it's coming. This is what the Qur'an does. It appeals to things which we know in order so that we can infer things that haven't happened yet. And the night and what it envelops. Okay, so this is the next stage of it. The night has enveloped, what's it enveloped? It's enveloped you, hasn't it? Enveloped you and everything you can see. And the moon when it is full. You will embark upon stage after stage. So the moon itself goes through stages. We can see that the moon, I actually have one on my screen over there. It's a waxing moon. And at this stage, we know, even though it hasn't got there yet, that it is going to become it's going to become a full moon, and then it's going to wane. We know that based on what we've already experienced. This is what the Qur'an's doing here. O man, thou art toiling towards thy Lord with labour, and wilt meet him. You see, it's referring to things that we do know, we do experience, and can extrapolate from in order to get a mental grasp in reality on something which, though it hasn't happened yet, is definitely coming. To continue. Then what ails them that they do not believe? And when the Qur'an is recited to them, do not submit. The truth is, those who ignore warning, الَّذِينَ كَافِرُوا. This is how I translate this collocation for reasons that I'm not going to go into right now, but it is the same as those who do not believe. If you want to know why I translate this collocation in this way, then look at my work. But it's those who, having been presented with evidence, reject it. The value for this is practically the same as what the traditionist will say. This isn't some sort of radical position. It's just this. My problem with the way that the word believe and unbelieve are used more now in the modern English is that there's no real distinction between believing when you genuinely believe something, when you know it to be a fact, and a fuzzy feeling. Well, fuzzy feelings can come and go. Well, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about something else, having been presented with evidence and rejecting it. That's what the key takeaway is here. Okay. And God best knows what they hoard. So give thou them tidings of a painful punishment. Save those who heed warning, or those who believe, and do righteous deeds. They have a reward unending. If you want more on that, I would look at Surah 103, which kind of fills out some of this and expands upon it. So those who believe, or those who heed warning and do righteous deeds, they have a reward unending. It's not really complicated, is it? I know that there's a whole business model based around making it complicated, and I get asked really basic questions like how do you fast? Well, just look in the Qur'an, just read it. It tells you. It's just do this, then this, but don't do this. Don't go close to that. That's it. That's the model. I don't know what it is that somehow people are afraid to use their own minds. What I would say is, isn't it better if you use your own mind and are wrong than to, God gave you a mind for a reason, right? So if you've genuinely applied yourself and just can't get it somehow, would it not be better to at least have tried and failed than just never to have tried? This is what I think. Now, it doesn't mean that there aren't people that one comes across who are better qualified or better experienced to kind of point one in the right direction. Certainly that's the case. But the idea of outsourcing one's mind, efforts and intelligence to a religion, especially one which can't really point to much success, well, at least in the last 800 years, seems to me like, well, a bit of a long shot. That's my view. Anyway, that's all for now. I hope everyone is well. And just a quick hello to those people who are fasting along with me over this period. I wish the blessings of God to you all. That's all for now. If you're listening on YouTube, you can download my full translation of the Qur'an and all other work free using the button in the top right-hand corner, or buy the hard copy there at 10% less than on Amazon. You can download the audio from my YouTube videos to your mobile device using the links in the drop-down below. I recommend meetquranites.com to connect with other Qur'an-alone believers. Like if you like, comment if you have something constructive to say, and subscribe to get more each week. And use the link in the drop-down below to donate if you would like, to help me keep doing this. And remember, this life is short. Eternity is long. If you want good trees, plant good seeds.